Let's get to it. And we're going to start out with oh my God, I'm hella excited. Let's Roxanne, you don't have to run on the red light. Those days are over. You don't have to say about it to the night. Roxanne, you don't have to wear that dress tonight. Walk the streets for money, but don't care if it's wrong or if it's right. Roxanne, you don't have to go the red light. Roxanne, you don't have to go the red light. Roxanne, 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 Roxanne. Hallelujah. I was about to be out. I have to tell you just how I feel. I will share you with another boy. I'm never gonna slay out. So why don't we arrange out? I'm the one that will tell you again. Roxanne, you don't have to put on the red light. Roxanne. Hey. It's Roxanne. What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm so excited to be with y'all. Um, this is a little something new. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. I'm in the middle of live streaming. My man just got home and I guess he wants me to open the door. I'll be right back. Well, we will work that out moving forward. But I'm actually going to play a couple more songs that are key songs that color the landscape of the sonic landscape that's kind of preceding this moment that we're about to read about in hip hop history and in women's hip hop history. So just hang tight and vibe. That first song that you just heard was Roxanne by The Police. And now I'm gonna play a a song called Hangin' Out by U.T.F.O. Let's see. All right.
We don't mean to offend you, but that's just for when we are. When the U.T.F.O. that the doctor can't you can hack away. It was the guy screwing out and getting by. I don't know why. Hanging out, chilling out, chilling out with Dr. Doc. Right, Dr. Coco house. Where, you know, let out, so hanging out. Hanging out. Hanging out.
What?
Hanging out. It's all about hanging out. Hanging out. It's all about hanging out. Oh, I was feeling a little longer than that. Within vlog, get y'all to choose for 8 old design. Girl, we go fatty, even though her real name was nothing but fatty. Her body was chunky, it was like a forgive. She had a little run on her girl like his hair, and no sooner than they left in their bitches was gone. I met my whole boy, Mr. Good one. Said he took Miss Pussy to the Milky Way, and they had a baby black kid today. I said, probably a slick, ain't no bicycle. Yeah, you better. They boss nigga. It wasn't all your life to see the bunch, but I meant my whole place. But that's the crunch. But I met the freak, she was a bit of punchy. I saw the mom much and what's in my goal. And I forgot his name. She was a but in every game. I knew it was size will be time for me to go. So I let them know that I had a good time with I must have been a shoe on the sweet bomb. They call you. Get out, without a doubt, it's all about hanging out. Hanging out, chilling out, it's all about hanging out. Hanging out, chilling out, it's all about hanging out. Hanging out, chilling out, it's all about hanging out. Everybody, if it's not too much, I'm the educated rapper just keeping it up. Keep in mind, I'm serious about what I say. When it comes to business, I just don't play. My rhymes have to be smart, fucking you in the heart. I'm not the educated rapper girl, just with the heart. I got the now, I wanna be some B.O.D.Y. I gotta leave the mess because I can't let this box. So remember, listen, you definitely you will find there's something to be left written down on the rock. So if I come along, do you know wrong? I want you and you to come on. Tomorrow made a take some looks and something different. Everybody, keep on the front. And you put some seats, how would you want to be instead of walking around the rubber and let's see. Something better hurt you. So not gonna let it serve you. Don't get me wrong, I like hanging out too. I also got my iPad. So how about you? Hang out, but bug out, and keep it in mind. Fun, what do time with big sunshine. Get out, with all that it's all about hanging out. Hanging out, chilling out, it's all about hanging out. Hanging out, chilling out, with all that it's all about hanging out. Hanging out, chilling out, it's all about hanging out. In the summertime, hanging out to 4 a.m. You sing until it's 9 and you do it all again. To the most rough that you get denied. They like you beat up just to get by. Don't take it too far or you'll be with time. It's all because y'all that beat the grind. When we say hanging out, we need to go out. Don't you go it's all about hanging out. When we say hanging out, we need to go out. Don't you go, don't you know? It's all about hanging out. Hanging out. Without. Don't you go. Hanging out. Hanging out. Without. Don't you go. Hanging out. Music is like a soul. It's always a key soul. It's that Michelle that's on the rich that's banging this out without a doubt. Hey, come on, get up and everybody, this out. It's all, it's all, it's out. It's all, it's all. Yep. It's up and everybody, it's a bit
Y'all don't hear me though.
Your mind. This but you never heard rap like that. Y'all just sing without a doubt. Let's go. Get up as everybody. This out. Oh, making this up without a doubt. Let's go. Get up as everybody. This out. Oh.
Hey. So, for those of you who just joined me and joined us here on Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays, on the Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays podcast, rather, we are just listening to some of the foundational songs that color the landscape of this chapter, or at least preceding everything that goes down in this chapter. Chapter 3, there's a war going on outside of Kathy Iandoli's book, God Save the Queens, The Essential History of Women in Hip Hop. And I have one more record to drop for you, also by U.T.F.O. This was the B side of Hanging Out. So, what you just listened to was U.T.F.O. Hanging Out. And now we're going to listen to the B side, which is called Roxanne, Roxanne. Oh yeah, y'all. We going all the way in, and I'm so very excited.
Yo, MD, yeah, what's up, man? That girl they call Roxanne.
Huh?
Why you say that? She wouldn't give a guy like me no back. But she was walking down the street, so I said, hello, yeah, go from the T.O. And she so even don't you know I can sing rap dancing just one show, cause I'm go, Mr. Sophisticator. As far as I know, ain't no spot greater from beginning to end and to beginning. I never used to get remember about it, and what if I was to you? Wouldn't you say? Because I'm not capable. I don't think you know, so baby, like your next old it's the grizzly kid. So you give these rap. I thought I had a thing. I thought you believe like that. That's what I give a thing. It ain't that one black. Side. So see me number one, Chris, I can see of his ass. Bang, bang, brother, I'm back, but I ain't convinced. Was size, but no crap. Calling her a crap, just a big speech. She's an apple. Yeah, a plum and a peach. Thought I had it in the palm of my hand. Oh man, oh man, if I was bread, I'd bang Roxanne. Roxanne, Roxanne. Don't you understand? Roxanne, Roxanne. I don't be your man. Oh, Kango, I don't think that you're dense, but you went about the matter with no experience. You should know. She doesn't need a guy like you. She needs a guy like me with a high IQ. And she shake for my rap, cause my rap the best. The educated rap deep will never flex. So when I met her, I wasted no time, but stuck up Roxanne. Baby, don't mind. She thought my name was Harry. I told her it was Gary. She said she didn't want to surface, so to call me Barry. She said she loved the Mary, but baby she would carry. And if we had a baby, name the baby Harry. Her mother name is Mary, which is really like a cherry. Her face is very hairy, and you can say we scary. Because I'm not every. Our fathers of every is not secretary, some military. For some dueling to get towards some voluntary. His daughter's name is Sherry, his son's a Tom Jerry. Sherry had the flu, but it was only temporary. Back in January, or was it February? But every time I sing this line, you think I know why. It's only customary to get this commentary. Some say it's bad, some say it's vegetarian. You such an all you want to try your local library. You never find a rhyme I just in any dictionary. But do you know, after all that, all I received was a pat on my back. What you get? It happened to me. Hit that right mix master ICE. Say Roxanne.
Ah,
Say Roxanne.
we are listening to U.T.F.O. Roxanne, Roxanne, as we lead up to reading chapter 3 of God Save the Queens, The Essential History of Women in Hip Hop.
You can't resist. So educated rapper. What's this? Since she's a new girl around the block, I had to let her know I was the debonair. Said I like to sleep with you if I can. And if I'm going to tell you your name is Roxanne, she said, how'd you know my I said it's getting around. Right now, you're the talk of the town. She let me walk into the corner. My rapper be green. She said I've seen you before. Look like a thief. I said, me, the job, a hood, a rob, run around and speak robbing people on the block, man. That's not my style. The crime I'm not related. It's false. I'm too sophisticated. Then it seems like I such a crack to smile. That let me know my wife it works for a while. Let me call yourself a doctor. I said, this situation better explain to me really what doctors must do. I said, this ain't very because I don't think this everything. Some major medical field the doctor must place. Dermatology is treatment of the skin. In fact, then you see me over and over again. There's anesthesiology, ophthalmology,
I love you,
internal
baby.
medicine, and plastic surgery, orthopedic surgery, and pathology of disease caused by the change of the body. That's very unique. Gave me her number and kissed me. She said she had to go from TV back by 8. So we call it 9 to the range. Hey, I didn't take it to the. That's what we planned. Because she stood me up. Roxanne, Roxanne. Roxanne, Roxanne. I want to be your man. Roxanne, Roxanne. And here's our game plan. Beat is here. So we will reveal it. If you think it's something, Roxanne, feel it.
Ah, ah. What?
Thanks, master.
Hey, hey. What? Okay. My God. Welcome to Women. Let me adjust this. Yeah, could get a little height on y'all. Welcome to the Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays podcast. This is a weekly place where we honor, celebrate, chronicle the history of women in this beautiful culture we call hip hop. And we have many segments of this podcast that rotate through. And this is my favorite segment. So if you're tuning in right now, you are definitely in luck. This segment is called Herstory in the Pages. And this is where we explore all of those things, the the wins, the L's, the journey, the contributions, the just the genius of women in hip hop, but we explore it through literature. And right now we're reading through a book called God Save the Queens by Kathy Iandoli. It's the essential history of women in hip hop. And I I have to say this is probably the podcast that I've looked forward to the most. We started this podcast I started this podcast in May of this year as a segment of the Let's Make a Classic podcast. Let's Make a Classic is my business. And honestly, I loved it so much here. And those of you tuning in loved it so much here that we just ended up staying here because there's so much richness. We never even made it back to the Let's Make a Classic podcast, and it's been Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays every single Wednesday since May of 2025. So if you're just finding us, welcome. You done struck gold. If you're somebody who's been coming every week, welcome back. And if you're someone who got your book, like I told you to, okay, and you are caught up, we are on chapter 3. If you don't have the book on you or you haven't caught up, that's okay. You have plenty of time to go check out the book from the library before next week and get all caught up so you can read along with us next week when we dive into this segment. So are you ready? What else do I want to tell you? Oh, hi, I'm your host, Coco Pela. I'm a multi-hyphenate hip hop artist, MC, singer, songwriter, record producer, and the music midwife. And you'll, through this journey, learn a little bit more about why they call me the music midwife. So again, this week we're returning with a fan favorite called Herstory in the Pages. And we are about to, okay, well, there's a couple of things I want to tell you, which is that this chapter 3, there's a war going on outside, chronicles the 1980s Roxanne wars. And it also chronicles the genius of a young Black teenage girl from Queens, New York, named Roxanne Shanté, and how she both laid the blueprint for many MCs, male and female, who would come after her, and also um, changed the trajectory of hip hop history, in all honesty, while facing all too common forms of sexism and obstacles within the community and the culture. And so, without further ado, let's get into it. Chapter 3, there's a war going on outside. In late 1984, just a few months after Beach Street hit theaters, Roxanne Shante pulled off the greatest marketing stunt in hip hop history. At the time, Brooklyn's U.T.F.O, Untouchable Force Organization, was pushing the record Hangin' Out. Remember, we opened up today's podcast with 3 records. We played The Police, Roxanne. We played U.T.F.O Hanging Out, which we just talked about, and U.T.F.O, the B side of Hanging Out, Roxanne, Roxanne. U.T.F.O, Untouchable Force Organization, was pushing their record Hanging Out, an R&B leaning track with a B-side called Roxanne, Roxanne, where the rap crew chides a woman named Roxanne for denying their multiple advances. The name Roxanne predates U.T.F.O's mention, of course. In 1978, the Police's song Roxanne details a sex worker being urged by Police frontman Sting to quit her business in the name of love. U.T.F.O simply continued that thread of hypersexualizing with their fictitious Roxanne. Okay, so pause. As you know, I got some things to say. So, I'm not going to get too deep into this because I really do want y'all to get into the chapter, but I want to highlight that despite the lewd, disrespectful, edgy lyrics and content that the Police and artists like them um, often had in their music, I mean, we can even go back to artists who appropriated Black music, such as like Elvis Presley, and even before then, there was often lewd and inappropriate, quote unquote, lyrics and content, but these artists never faced the type of censorship or were made to attend legal hearings in court about their music, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not defending the sexism in male MC's music, just noting that uh, the white men who did it, for example, with the Police's Roxanne, were not like publicly shamed or faced that same type of censorship. And also, sexism and addressing taboo subjects in music existed before hip hop and outside of the culture. So let's just learn a little bit more about it. Thank you, baby. The B side dipped on the group's priority scale as radio stations were looking to abolish hip hop music based on the success of Mr. Magic's rap attack with Molly Mall, since hip hop was perceived as a threat to other genres. Magic and Molly's radio show was both an artistic breeding ground and prime rap real estate. Kids would tape the episodes on their stereos and play them back like they were albums. If you didn't have the latest episode of Rap Attack recorded, you were not cool at all. Rap Attack first aired on New York's WHBI, an FM station on which DJs paid to air their shows. The radio show was later picked up by WBLS in New York, where money poured in per Tyrone Fly Ty Williams, Rap Attack producer and engineer, and founder of Cold Chillin' Records. Once the coup was staged by New York radio stations to remove rap from the airwaves, the team of Mr. Magic, Molly Ma, and Fly Ty was offered buku bucks to retain positions at WBLS, absent hip hop. They declined and moved back to WHBI, where they continued to pay their own money to keep hip hop going. It took a financial toll on them. So, oh, y'all. So, let's talk about the intersection of anti-Black racism and classism here. Mr. Magic's rap attack was so popular that the powers that be in New York radio were actually attempting to abolish hip hop music. They were threatened by the genre that literally, at this point, if we're talking about 1984, the genre of hip hop music had only been alive for 11 years. So it was still a baby, and yet already very established radio powers that be that oversaw the spinning and distribution of other genres were already feeling the heat. The New York radio stations literally staged a coup, as it talks about in the book, and offered Mr. Magic, Molly Ma, and Fly Tie hella bread to stay at WBLS but not play hip hop music. And in true hip hop fashion, young, grassroots, independent, rebellious, resourceful, creative, they turned down the money and returned to WHBI, where they again paid to keep hip hop music and culture going. And we'll return to this question later, but it makes me wonder, like, what would have happened with hip hop music and hip hop radio culture had Mr. Magic, Molly Ma, and Fly Tie taking the money and taking hip hop off the airwaves. At the same time, we know that, like, in a way that would never happen, right? Because they were true heads and um I don't want to say facilitators of the culture, but you know what I'm saying? So UTFO was looking to drift away from standard rap music, focusing their efforts on that record that we listened to, Hanging Out. But when they brought the record to Mr. Magic, he insisted that Roxanne, Roxanne, the last record that we listened to, was the bigger hit. Regular radio isn't playing rap anymore, UTFO told us, Fly Tie recalls. Both UTFO and their manager, Steve Salem, were still pushing Hanging Out. Never one to listen to what other people told him, Mr. Magic played Roxanne, Roxanne instead, and it was a hit. To thank Mr. Magic and his team, UTFO agreed to perform at a show for free so the Rap Attack guys could make some money, which they desperately needed. Again, think back, they were already in a bit of a pinch because now they're going from getting paid hella bread to having to pay to keep the show on the airwaves. All they had to do was pick a day and a location. I pick a venue called Broadway International, Fly Ty says. When Ty brought the information to Salem, he told Ty the show was off. Kiss FM, a rival station, had added UTFO's record, so they no longer needed Mr. Magic. The bottom dropped out from under me, Fly Tie says. Christmas was right around the corner, and the money from the show was their only shot at buying gifts. When Ty got to the station and broke the news to Mr. Magic and Molly Ma, they were rattled. With nothing but the power of their radio presence, something had to be done. So we won't stop here for long, but I will say I just always love the fact that hip hop culture is grounded in relationships. The music genre came out of the culture, which had so much to do with people creating together, people. I was writing about it earlier, but like young, poor and working class, Black and brown folks in the hood claiming their God-given, their birthright to express their innate music, their innate movement and dance, their innate way to like express visual art, and using all of that creativity to address and solve problems and build community. And so this this moment where, UTFO is like, thank you so much. Wow, you made our shit pop off, right? And then they get this offer from Kiss FM and they low-key diss them. I mean, not even diss them, but they're like, they renege on their agreement. Is just a key moment to me where they kind of violate a certain type of a code. Um, we used to drop Molly off at Queensbridge, Fly Tie recounts. We're standing outside of Molly's building, talking rather loudly about what U.T.F.O and their manager had done to us. A little girl hears us. She walks up to us and says, "Why don't you let me make a tape dissing them?" Ty wanted nothing to do with her offer, but Magic saw an opportunity. Molly, who lived above the same laundromat where the young girl did her laundry, asked her to come upstairs and rock over the Roxanne beat. Molly worked at the Sergio Valente jeans factory, so while she was hoping to break through as an MC, she was also looking for the denim hookup. Little did she know how much that moment would affect her entire life. Ty still wasn't convinced until he returned to work a day later. The next night at the station, Molly says, "Ty, remember that little girl? Listen to this." So he plays the infamous Roxanne's Revenge. Oh, and of course, just in this moment, the speaker decides to turn off. No, we're not done with you yet, speaker, because we got to play the people of Roxanne's Revenge. Okay, let's see. Let's pull it up. Where you at? Queen of Rocks. Here she go.
Hey, what,
Can you hear it?
Video Music Box continues with one of the hottest lady rappers on the music scene. Here's Roxanne Shanté and Roxanne's Revenge.
My name is Roxanne. I don't shit no. I just a cold rock a body and I do this show. I said I'm a easy.
Okay, hold up. I know those of you who know this song are ready for it to drop, but I'm gonna read just a little bit more. I'm gonna read a little bit more. So, um, Molly says, "Ty, remember that little girl? Listen to this." Lolita Shanté Gooden was a native of the now infamous Queensbridge housing projects in Long Island City, Queens, and the gumption she exhibited by walking up to a group of guys and forcing her way into their conversation would become her reputation. She had already made a name for herself among her peers as a small time battle rapper, though she leveled up when she propositioned Mr. Magic and Molly Mall. The product of her efforts was a song called Roxanne's Revenge, where the then 14-year-old Gooden assumes the role of Roxanne. The song is a retort to U.T.F.O's track as Shanté shames the group for attempting to make moves on her when they aren't of her caliber. She calls them all by name, acknowledges that she jacked their beat, and runs through a list of grievances about why they have no business trying to talk to her to begin with. Oh, yes, and she says they're broke.
You guys, and you know it's true. Let me tell you and explain them all to you. I met this dude with the name of a hat. I didn't even walk away. I didn't give him no back, but then he got filmed. And he got tired. If he was me, he would be tired. He was a Kango, and that is true. But he ain't got the money, and he ain't got the lead. And every time that I see him, he's always begging. And all the other girls that he's always trying to let. Every time that I see him, he says, you see, compared to me, it's weak compared to mine. Every time that I know that I am saying something special in any category, it is the best. And every time that I say it, there ain't nothing less. And everybody knows I will win. They got this. And after that, then the educated rapper. It's things about the snapper and my hands. But every time that I feel everything he say, he rockin' to the beat and he comes to do it. He said, yeah, you know your mother, her name is Mary. Everywhere I heard the father is up there. But every time I see him, he's saying something new. But let me explain to him what you should do. You should be like me. That's why MC don't never have to write or always write. I have the precious fun that I do recite. And after that, you know, too. But let me tell you something else about the doctor too. He ain't really cute and he's great. He don't even know how to operate. He came up to me with some fast rap. But let me tell you something, don't you know it was whack. So when he came up to me, I told him to step back. He said, you call yourself an MC? I said, this is true. He said, explain to me really what MCs must do. Better listen very close, because I don't say this every day. My name is Roxanne. And they call me Shanté. But every time that I say I'm just a like a this a everything you empty when I miss it. Okay, if you think it's all right, that's why you said it in the so y'all put it at the right. You started sucking baby like it didn't make no sense. You thought you was cute, yeah, you thought you was upset. You're walking down the block, cause I'm the one you're gonna clock, and everybody, you know, that's your all of my yacht. I'm just a devastating, always rock, always had the blind pocket. Everybody knows me, the ROXXNE. Everyone knows I am fresh to any side of glory better. Every time I start to write it, everyone is the somebody. Every time I do it, yeah, you know it is a me. Get on the beat as you can see. So the U.T.F.O. You know what you can do? Let me tell y'all what for me, and then I tell y'all what for you. Let me tell you say around just like a this. It ain't nothing that I don't want to miss up. And if you think it right and I'm right in your beat, well then you just better know and listen to me. Because my name is Roxanne and I came to say I rock it to the beat and I do this beat never be never heard of the beat. I rock it to the beat and I know it is a me. O-S-A-N-N-E. And if you want to play a little game for me, let me show you what you can do, baby. It's with a twist of my teeth and a twist of my wrist. Pull the guys up and down like this. Yeah, I am fly, and you must admit. But everybody, you know, I don't go for it. So if you're trying to be cute and you're trying to be fun, you need to cut it out because it's all in your mind. Trying to be like me, yeah, it's very hard. Just think you are God, but you just be Lord. Trying to be cute and you're trying to be fly. Don't you know you wish you could be my God? Take your phone, make you a and everybody knows that you're out there trying to text like call the car. You're always trying to rob. You need to be out there looking for a job. Yeah, you're trying to meet the dog. But listen, you know, you're not a man. That's I'm saying a man and someone that you always just someone that you will never best. And then I'll say, yeah, forget the rest. You gotta be cute and you're trying to be fly. But all you wanna be is like Sister because I turned you down without a frown. Embarrassing for your friends, make it look like a clown. And all you do is get real mad and you talk about me and make me look bad. But everybody knows how the story goes. There's no ifs, no ands, no buts, on support, no coke up, you know, no. And then it won't cause no kind of thing. But you're trying to be fly. You a question. I wanna know why. Why'd you have to make a record about me? Roxanne.
Babe. Okay. She said, I just want to ask you one question. Yo, why'd you have to make a record about me? Okay. So picture that. This is from the book now, y'all. These ain't my words. A teenager barking at a group of men for attempting to put her down for not accepting their advances. It's the sonic equivalent of verbally destroying a cat collar in front of all his friends. A star was boldly about to be born, and she wouldn't take shit from anyone. Ty suggested she use the name Roxanne Shanté, with Roxanne moving into a ranking title similar to how Grandmaster was used for men. Roxanne's Revenge premiered on Rap Attack, and the episode was recorded by fans and passed around. Early tapes even include the Rap Attack world premiere drop at the beginning. After swiftly selling 5,000 copies, the song led to a cease and desist from U.T.F.O. for Molly Ma's uncleared use of a sample of their instrumental track. A new beat was quickly recorded, and the song went on to sell close to 250,000 copies. A switch was inevitably flipped between 1977, which, if you were reading along with us, part of what Kathy Iandoli chronicles is in July, the summer of 1977. That's when hella fires were breaking out, particularly in the Bronx. And there was that one particular um, fire that broke out, and then a lot of young people, and not just young people, but folks looted or were able to loot, access things, items in stores and so on. And that was the summer where suddenly the crews went from primarily Herc's crew, the Herculords, and his big ass sound system, to hella people having DJ and sound system equipment. And so that was one of the moments that where the resource people got access to more resources. And so then also women got more access to the mic, and there were more resources to go around. So when she's talking about the switch, this is part of what she's talking about. A switch was inevitably flicked between 1977 and 1984 as it pertained to women in the rap space. Prior to this moment, a spot on a flyer hardly led to money on the table. But once Shantae hit the radio, things changed. The playing field was no longer level. Gone were the days of a bunch of kids having fun. Hip hop was a business, and the bargaining chip was named Roxanne. Instead of adding to her appeal, she had to be stopped or topped. Enter Brooklyn native Adelaida Martinez, who would assume the moniker the real Roxanne, with a whole song about it in tow. She was pretty and had lighter skin than Shantae. Martinez was UTFO's secret weapon in the battle of Roxanne domination. There was another real Roxanne chosen, though UTFO didn't think she had the looks Martinez had. So one woman was swapped for another under the same name. This was the first move in hip hop history to present women as figureheads, cloaked in anonymity, considering Roxanne Shanté was not only being challenged for her remarks, but for her identity. By creating a whole new character sharing the same name, UTFO was stripping Shantae of the game changing move she had made by assuming her rap name to begin with. After all, Shantae gave face to the anonymous Roxanne at the time when the comfort zone was to regard women simply as the plus one ladies or the girls. The Roxanne Wars were launched. Over 80 response records blasted the moving target known as Roxanne. It's hard to even fathom anyone else owning the name Roxanne now, but that was not without hard work from Shantae. You'll never have the Roxanne phenomenon again, Roxanne Shantae told Vice News in 2017. I made one song and had 83 songs made about me, specifically where they said Roxanne Shantae. No other artist has ever had that. So let's pause for a second. This last section is like so jam packed. I think one of the things about this moment, right, when, according to the story, Shantae basically approaches Mr. Magic, Molly Malin, Fly Tie, and she's like, yo, I should let me diss them. And side note, when I read this, I fully felt her. I feel like as a young MC, um, I was so hungry. Like I wish I had the same hunger. It's not my passion for hip hop has not changed. My depth and my love. I feel like my understanding, honestly, and appreciation for the culture is richer and deeper and more complex. But there's a certain hunger that you have as a teen when you first get that bug, when you first catch the hip hop bug. And I definitely had, my own experiences rolling up on producers and being like, let me get on the track, da 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 da. Um, so just thinking about her though, like her high voice, her small body, she's 14, and she's like, let me get on that shit. I think there's so many things that are incredible. One, it's another piece of evidence that we've always been there. Women in hip hop have always been there. There's this false narrative that people will be like, where are the ladies at? Or where are the ladies, you know, where did they go? Or where have they been? We've always, always, always been here. The mama had to birth the culture, starting with Cindy Campbell, like, and we need to change that narrative by sharing more of the stories in the picture. So that's number one, which is like, this is not just, this is a key moment in women's hip hop history, right? But it's also just a key moment in all of hip hop history because, bruh, like I personally, as an independent hip hop artist, can't yet imagine selling 250,000 copies of any of my songs. I can't, I've had streams, thousands of streams, but 5,000 copies, 250,000 copies. Um, and again, we have to think about hip hop is not just music, it's not just visual art, it's not just dance, it's not just DJing. It is a culture, it is a community, and part of that culture comes from creativity and ingenuity and resourcefulness. And so that moment um of like, why don't you let me diss them? That would be dope. Like I can take on the identity of Roxanne is powerful. And I think that that's the other piece, which is, and Kathy talks about it in this chapter, like part of sexism, right, is to dehumanize, or the one of the ways that sexism functions is to dehumanize women and girls, right? One of the ways that anti-Black racism functions is to dehumanize you know, Black African heritage people. So to say, and I feel her as one of our foremothers to say like, I'm hearing this track where these brothers are harassing this woman because she's not feeling them, right? Which is something as a Black woman, as a Black girl, I can definitely identify with growing up and ask any Black woman or girl like her experience of, just walking down the street, handling your business, going to school, going to work, running errands, kicking it with your friends, hanging with your family, on your way to church, on your way to mosque, on your way to temple, just whatever you're doing, right? And someone trying to holler at you and hijack your attention and you're like not interested and now it's a problem, right? For her to hear this happening to a fictitious, woman, Roxanne, and kind of say in a way like almost like a Shaka Khan, like I'm every woman, like hold up, like actually you're not just going to tell it from your side of the story. Like I'm going to write my own lyrics and I'm going to clap back at you. Like in this conversation, this is not a one-sided conversation. And here's what I have to say. This is how this made me feel. And this is my perspective on y'all and X, Y, and Z. And I love how she closes it with like, why did y'all have to make a record about me? You know what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't have even, and this is what you, I mean, anyway, I could go on and on, but I think that it was a blow to sexism because women, it was a moment where she interrupted the idea that women were just these imaginary kind of like creatures that we got to write stories about, but who didn't have their own voice and experience, right? Instead, she's like, I'm Roxanne. And uh well, my name is Roxanne, and don't you know, look, like you're talking to someone. And I think that that's also, I promise y'all I'll get off my soapbox, but like that's the thing when people say like that's somebody's daughter, that's somebody's sister, that's someone's mama, auntie, friend, cousin, grandmother, like the dehumanizing and depersonalizing is what allows us to enact oppression on each other across identities, right? We can think of that even when we think about the civil rights movement or any time really, slavery, and beyond, where one group who's been put in the position of the agent of oppression or, empowered by society, right, by a system of oppression, justifies the mistreatment or exploitation of the other group by dehumanizing them and making it less personal, right? Oh, well, they're not, with Black folks, oh, well, they're not really full human beings, or they're animals, or they're subhuman, or they're not as smart, or so it's okay for us to extract labor and profit from them. And similarly with women, which we'll talk about this at a different time, but some anthropologists believe that women were the first slave class of people. Women were a class of people where there was a system under classism created to justify the exploitation of labor, right? The extraction of labor for the profit of the owning class. I'm not an expert in all of this, but I think that the more that we can draw lines and parallels, the more we can become better allies to one another. Okay, but I digress. Hold up, let me find my place before y'all get mad. Hold up, hold up. Y'all could get mad, but anyway. Okay, where we at? Where we at? Ty suggested Shanté, 2005. Okay. Those are kids having fun. All right, hip hop was a business. Oh, do y'all want to hear? Hold up. Hold up. What my name is? So this is the real Roxanne. I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but this was one of the first response tracks, and this is, as far as I know, the U.T.F.O backed response track that we talked about a little bit earlier.
Yo, Kango. Yeah, what's up, girl? I'm the real Roxanne, and I'll rock your world. Yo, stop. Well, you say that because I wouldn't give guys like you no rap. I was walking down the street in the afternoon. I gave you a smile, so you assumed that if you said hello, I wouldn't be flattered. But I kept walking, and your ego was shattered. I'm Roxanne, the lady devastator. I make it feel hotter than it is in Grenada. The Roxanne. Roxanne is who I be. And can't go kid. You might be cute, but you ain't getting big because you're much too sweet. Man, that separates water on the side. I told all my friends and we all just died. I laughed so much.
Okay. So we're not going to play the whole one, but you can see here what Kathy Iandoli was talking about the way that they pick a different girl who also is is considered to be more traditionally or conventionally attractive to almost erase what Roxanne did, right? But what's deep is in this version, right? The brothers are back in control of the image and of the narrative, right? And instead of, when somebody like you going toe to toe with somebody and you're like, you know what, touche. Instead of just telling her touche and telling the brothers from the Juice Crew, Mr. Magic, Molly Ma, and Flat Tie, like, all right, touche. Like, you got one on us, right? They tried to erase her by creating their own Roxanne and calling her the real Roxanne. Um, ooh, okay. Many tried to challenge Shanté during the Roxanne Wars, but there wasn't a worthier opponent for her than Brooklyn's own Sparky D. Born Doreen C. Broadnax, Sparky was rapping as a part of the group The Playgirls. She was tuned in to Rap Attack the night Roxanne's Revenge first aired. When the clock struck midnight, Mr. Magic played the world premiere, which was Roxanne Shanté. Sparky remembers. She was sitting with her then boyfriend, rapper and producer Spider D, who suggested she respond to Shanté for targeting U.T.F.O. Being that U.T.F.O lives in Brooklyn and I'm from Brownsville, I said, I'm going to take her on for U.T.F.O, Sparky says. Her track, Sparky's Turn, Roxanne You're Through, was a tough as nails response record where Sparky fired verbal darts at Shanté. Sparky pokes fun at Shanté's lawsuit for the jacked beat, calls her conceited, among other things, and claims it was U.T.F.O that made her famous. The biggest takeaway was that Sparky was assuming the position of chief and that she was the superior MC. Sparky even makes fun of Shanté's rhyming pattern on Roxanne's Revenge, adding an to the end of the words. It was vicious, it was pointed, and it kicked off a battle that traveled from the studio to the stage and made people a lot of money. Um, so yeah, y'all, because it's like, so we're about to play Sparky's turn, Roxanne, you're through. And yeah, like for me as an MC, this is important because you have to show respect. Part of this is that, Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays came about because I'm a bit of a nerd about hip hop. And I feel like the more I learn about hip hop, the more I feel like the less I know. It's one of those things that's so vast and rich. And for me as an MC, I think that I owe it to my foremothers, you know, to to really learn about them and study them. And it's not going to happen in mainstream media or even mainstream hip hop culture because all of us have internalized sexism as women and girls, and our brothers have internalized the role of perpetuating the sexism. So even I hear women not giving other women credit, and it's not about villainizing anybody, but it's like, let's just do our due diligence. Um, and it's something I've been wanting to do for a really long time. So I'm getting to do this with y'all, and I hope you enjoy yourselves. But anyway, okay. And here is Sparky's response, Sparky D's response.
You must be true what they say about you. Just stuck up and conceited. You got to be super because they thought you a picture. I'm plumbing the piece. Roxanne, my girl, I'm about to teach you. You a lesson. Because my rap will be weak. And by the time I'm through, you know who's the chief. The Sparky D, top female MC. And to disrespect the fool wasn't cool to me. Because they made you famous. The talk of the town. But now Roxanne is gonna look like a clown. You're nothing but a nasty crap female. It's just to them. Or they be in jail. Supposed to sound like you're fresh out of junior high school. If you think you're a rapper, you must be a fool. A fool and a joke is what you are. U.T.F.O shit that made you a star. Yeah, stop what MCs can do. Now answer me, what got into you? If you didn't know the MC can do, you shouldn't have made a record. But now you when you do a show, I think that you should know that if I'm in the crowd and you have to go, because if I grab a mic, I don't think you would like to battle with me because I am dynamite. And you are a beginner, you really couldn't win her. Your cracky wacky voice would just speak it in thinner because I am a champ and you are just a scamp. I think it would be better if you just go camp to do with the name that sounds like a hat. Might love your dress with the baseball. But don't get nervous because they really think you're funny. They understand that you get it for money. Fighter.
This is when I wish I was a DJ so I could scratch, but
Hey. So once again, just in case you didn't hear, Sparky D is in the place. Yes, I'm here. Here to say Roxanne can hang. So be for real. This thing cause me, the big girls and U.T.F.O. and from so now you know. Get to them. They planned, but all they would have done was dumped her in the city. You can't hang with me. Girl, I'm coming all over for you. And now I'm down my low and qualified to turn your own and always feeling, always ready. Bullet anyone that's agree to try to hang on you should see that rock and I can't go on with the shake of the your mind's in a trance, and soon enough I'll be rocking your cash, your life, your credit, your 98 too. Now tell me, fly, what can you do? Now if you don't like it, step off down the road. Cause I may be bitter real, not take character. So tell the homeboys and the homegirls too that they should never ever mess with Sparky these Mona, the city slim, mostly, and the cold blooded house like the Sparky. I'm better than ever. You can never be this clever. My rap is so strong, it's tougher than Lisa. I'm different and gifted and terrific. And if you don't believe it, you got to deal with it. The Roxanne, my girl, you're here by one. I'm the devil's female. To every be born, so take your corny snap and your cold weak rap and stick them where you found them. Cracker Jack. The Roxanne 1 and Roxanne 2 and the other dump out of love female crew. You can say what you like, try to diss me on the mic when I'm in the house to get on your bike. Cause you don't it's this is Sparky D's world and you're living in it.
Yo, yo, yo. She said this is Sparky D's world and you're living in it. The battle between y'all didn't see that. The battle between Sparky D and Roxanne Shanté became notorious. We didn't like each other, Sparky admits. The animosity, a combination of loyalty and plain adolescent personality conflicts. We knew of each other. We did shows, but no, it wasn't an act at all. At the behest of Mr. Magic, Spider D, Molly Maw, and Shantae's manager, Fly Tie, the two opted to work with each other to make some money together. The record Round One, Roxanne Shanté versus Sparky D, was released with the cover art displaying the two together with their dukes up, boxing gloves touching as they glare into the camera. Animosity grew, though, as Shanté had a calculated upper hand. Roxanne Shanté went on for 16 extra bars and she wasn't supposed to, reveals Sparky. The tacked on bars included some venom from Shanté. I'll bust this shit here, Sparky D. When it comes to the rhymes, I say, you can't hang with me, Miss Shanté. I was mad at my record company because that's not what she's supposed to do, Sparky says of Shantae's lengthy verse. And at the time, I was told as an artist not to curse, but the teenage Shantae sure did. Still, the two toured together, promoting the battle even when emotions were high. Mr. Magic taught us, and this is something I'll never forget, Sparky recounts. We were doing our first battle in North Carolina, Raleigh, Durham. We sold out, Roxanne, Shantae, and myself on the bill, no one else. We weren't speaking to each other. It was so much tension. It was really, really bad. Mr. Magic said this. You have Larry Bird from the Boston Celtics and you have Magic Johnson from the Lakers. He said, look, they don't like each other, but they go play basketball. The best way to view their traveling battle was like a sport, with spectators watching as the two traded bars. But having Shantae close the battle with an extended verse on their record placed her at an unfair advantage, despite Sparky telling me she still thinks she was a better rapper. These were chess moves indicative of the fact that Roxanne Shanté was driving the zeitgeist of the era for women in hip hop, yet her success and skill posed a threat to men. The New Music Seminar's MC battle for world supremacy started in 1980, deflated any shot she had at achieving the top spot in hip hop. Okay, pause. So before we get into the New Music Seminar's MC battle for world supremacy, I just want to um, say, right, this is so deep because you see Sparky D and Shantae being pit against each other for the profit of these male crews, right? And we'll learn more about this later, but again, pay attention to this because for many of us, like for me, I was born in 1987. I grew up in the 90s. Um, so for a lot of us, like hip hop was already kind of already either was crossing over or had just crossed over. It had already made its first million, or even it would be interesting to find out what year did hip hop gross a billion for the first time. But basically, you have it's hard for those of us who were born at a certain point on the timeline and the continuum to imagine so many things that are just normal parts of the culture had to happen in order to become a part of the fabric. And this is one of those things that um leading up to like this after this moment, of course, it changes the trajectory of women in hip hop and also in a way becomes this blueprint for how to make money right off of women in hip hop. Um okay, so oh, I love this chapter. I love this chapter so much. I don't know if y'all could tell, but okay. So, the New Music Seminars MC Battle for World Supremacy started in 1980, deflated any shot that she had of achieving the top spot in hip hop. The music networking event turned battleground showcase for optimal visibility was the stuff of legend and a prime location for talent to be cultivated. In 1985, the finalists came down to Busy Bee Starski and Roxanne Shanté, who was the only girl competing. Shantae was blasting through her opponents in every round, spitting off the top of her head and taking no prisoners. That was always a problem for anyone battling Shantae, Flytide says, because they had written rhymes. Shantae would just take what you said and flip it back on you and have the crowd going crazy. Then she faced off with Busy Bee, described by Fly Tie as a party rocker. Busy was more concerned with getting the crowd going, which was his forte. Shantae was chasing punchlines and insults. Busy Bee opened with the lines from his Busy Bee's Groove, including 2 weeks ago at the place to be. They were standing in line to see who? Busy Bee. Shantae returned with her own rhyme about getting hit on by a guy in the projects. He said, "You're fly from behind to the guys, don't know why. And there ain't a guy who can't pass you by." I looked at him and I said, "No lie." Somewhere in the middle, Shantae got fired up and started directly targeting Busy Bee, claiming they made a deal backstage that she would keep it chill. Well, she reneged on that premature peace treaty. What is a bee? It ain't cool with me. I'll stomp that shit in a 1, 2, 3. As the battle went on, the opponents breezed through each of their timed responses. It was clear that Shantae had a real shot at taking home the crown. But when it came down to the judges' scores, hip hop sexism reared its head. Buff Love and the Fat Boys gave both Shantae and Busy Bee a 10. WizKid gave Busy Bee a 9, Shantae a 10. Africa Bambaataa gave Busy Bee a 9, Shantae a 10. Cool DJ Red Alert gave Busy Bee a 10, Shantae an 8. And then came Curtis Blow, who gave Busy Bee a 9 and Shantae a 4. The final score 47-42. Busy Bee was the winner. The battle was rigged. Why would Curtis, a fellow member of the Juice Crew with Shantae, do that to her? Per Fly Tie, it was over Curtis's annoyance that Shantae had called out her crew affiliate on a rhyme. Run DMC, Curtis Blow, where'd they come from? I don't know. Shantae dissed everybody though, Ty says with a laugh. Curtis Blow remembers Shantae's calling him out. I was furious. When Shantae got out there, I wasn't really too supportive to tell you the truth. I regret that now. But her whole thing was listening to Mr. Magic, and I hate to say it, rest in peace. But he was like a troublemaker almost, and he put her up to those lyrics. Days before the infamous battle, Curtis was in Los Angeles judging a whole other showdown. I'm far away from home in LA at a club called Carolina West. I did a show, and then I was the judge of a rap contest, Curtis says. Here comes this light skinned guy with a ponytail, and he gets on the mic and he starts cursing up a storm. I'm totally against that. Totally against cursing on the mic. He's calling women bees and better have my money. I'm a pimp. I'm a hustler. I'm a gangster. All this stuff. I'm like, oh my God, we can't have this in hip hop. We're never going to go anywhere with this kind of rap. Curtis wanted to give him a two, but the crowd was going crazy. Added to that, Curtis was out of his element. I thought about it and was like, if I give him a two, I might not get I might not get to make it back home. He gave the rapper a 10, which made him the winner of the contest. 3 years later, I find out that Ice-T tells the same story. He's the guy with the ponytail. He went on to say that him winning that contest inspired him to keep rapping and go on to make his career. As as a West Coast MC, when I read this, are y'all following? Like, this whole little section is just like jaw dropping, tea, like mind blowing, like paradigm shifting. Like, what is you talking about, right? Um, I'm sorry, just we need a moment. So Curtis Blow is out in LA. He has a show, and then he's asked to be a judge for a rap contest. Ice-T, young Ice-T gets up on the mic and he's talking about bitch this and I'm a pimp, I'm a gangster, et cetera, which was, as Ice-T tells it in a lot of his interviews, that was a part of his life, growing up in the hood. He wasn't affiliated with one particular gang, but he had relationships with a lot of folks in the street and, wasn't being raised, what did they say, like on it with a silver spoon in his mouth. And so he was exposed to that. That's part of the culture of masculinity, and the dominant culture in Los Angeles. So this is like the beginning whispers of gangster rap, right? Curtis, and you have to understand, like, this is in the 80s, right? So this is before social media. This is even before a lot of music videos have been released. So it used to be more like, how do you say, regional, hip, like the way we talk, the way we dress, the way everything was regional, and you wouldn't know what another culture was like. Me and my cousin Imani were just talking about this the other day. You wouldn't know what the culture was like unless you moved out there, you have family out there, you have friends out there, and definitely more, especially because of the way that gentrification has allowed a lot of people to move in and out, like across class backgrounds, like a middle class, like for example, like someone could be middle class and get a job at a tech startup or whatever type of job in a city and then like move into the hood nowadays because gentrification, white supremacy, you know, pa- white supremacist, patriarchal capitalism, like those systems and that culture protects whiteness and protects those who have more class privilege. So folks can move about, but still certain hoods and still certain places in the world in the country that you just can't go, right? But it was more so like this back then. And so you think about artists being able to dip in and out as long as they tapped in with like the big homie, or they were with family or whatever the case may be, but you still had to have your wits about you when you was outside of your own hood, that like, oh, I can't just move, I don't have the same type of power. So Curtis is judging this show, he sees that the crowd is going crazy and he's like, I don't approve of this, but shit, if I give him what I really think, I literally might not make it out of LA. I might not make it back to New York. But it's deep, right? How the it's deep how even for men, men are dominated by violence and the threat of violence from other men, right? Whether it be the overseer, slave catchers, police, owning class, boss, supervisor, or the other dudes in their neighborhood or outside of their hood who have access to more people or firearms or more muscles, right? That there's this certain male domination, right, that happens even between men, where in this moment he doesn't approve of it, but he's not able to stand in integrity with what he believes and what he wants for hip hop culture because he's actually afraid for his life. And then we look at the other piece, right? But now he's here. Shanté is, I think, 15 years old, fucking killing it at the battle for world supremacy, right, against Busy Bee. And he fucking it wasn't right, yo. And he gives her this four in a place where he can throw around his weight. Um it's really deep. And I have a lot of respect for Curtis Blow for saying, like, admitting, like, yeah, I feel really bad about what I did. um Back to the battle for world supremacy. Curtis leaves Los Angeles and in New York City on friendly turf, ready to judge. And here's Roxanne Shanté against Busy Bee. Busy Bee was my friend. We used to hang out frequently. While Shanté was a part of Curtis's crew, she was introducing a different spirit to the battleground. This was the first time you heard somebody in a rap contest disrespect the other rapper. You know how battles are now, where they talk about you from head to toe? She was the first one to do that. To Busy Bee, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. While he couldn't put his foot down in Los Angeles, he certainly could at home. I said, look, I'm not going for it. And he gave her the four. Roxanne lunged for Curtis, but Fly Tie pulled her off. She was crying, Curtis says. I felt so bad, but that was sort of a little revenge that I got because of that record that she made that was on the radio. I told her, I said, look, this is hip hop, this battling stuff. I don't believe in that. You can't disrespect people from head to toe and win a contest like that. You've got to show your skills. Through her tears, Roxanne said to him, I was just listening to Magic. Magic and Ty told me to do that. Curtis apologized, but still got to celebrate. The night after that, Busy Bee and I went up to the Disco Fever and partied all night with his trophy. Curtis says his decision to lowball Shanté was lyrics driven above all. And Magic was my best friend at the time, he says, but we used to argue and debate about the future of hip hop. Using a teenage girl as the driving force to make a hard switch, especially on the battlefront, wasn't something Curtis was down for. To him, it was for shock value, so he wielded the power of the point system. Others, however, including her opponent himself, viewed it as him blocking a woman from leading the charge for hip hop's next phase. I think they weren't ready for a female to take the helm, Busy Bee explains to me over 30 years later. No one ever heard a female do or say the things she said. In my opinion, I won, but she was good. Busy Bee refers to that moment as a potential changing of the guard since a female MC got so close to the finish line. So what would have happened if the new guard had have been led by a woman? That for Curtis Blow had a crippling effect on everything. That four from Curtis Blow had a crippling effect on everything Roxanne Shanté could have been. Even Sparky D had to agree. I mean, they would knock the girls out, Sparky explains. They would have 7 guys on the show and barely have a female on the show to perform. The ladies were often invited on stage to perform as last minute, unscheduled, and unpaid special guests after the men had already been booked in advance and paid to be there. It was very hard to get a job because all of the guys, she continues, just like Curtis Blow knocked out Roxanne Shanté because she was supposed to win at the NMS, But because that was Busy Bee and she was a woman, they were like, nah, this can't happen. That's their mentality. In 2015, Tom Silverman, founder of Tommy Boy Records and co founder of the New Music Seminar, was asked in an interview if Busy Bee was the winner of the first MC battle for world supremacy. Silverman deflected, citing how 1985 was the year the New Music Seminar changed venues to the Marriott Marquis, and shouting out Busy's now infamous Squirrel and the Net rhyme. Even the person who started the battle couldn't answer that simple question. But it wasn't all in vain, really. She put the females on the map from that point on in hip hop, Busy Bee notes. It was all guys at the time. You got to remember, she was young. We was grown men. There was no ladies our age doing it. She was the one, but she was just too young at the time. So in essence, Roxanne Shanté won the battle, and after 3 decades, is finally recognized. She should have won, Curtis Blow says regretfully. She should have gotten the 10 like Ice-T. The crowd definitely loved her, and she did the best that night. I still feel bad today about that. Maybe that's Roxanne's real revenge. The book is God Save the Queens, The Essential History of Women in Hip Hop, written by Kathy Iandoli. Um, y'all, uh, I want you to hear the battle between Roxanne Shanté and Busy Bee Starski. So I'm going to pull that up as the last piece of audio we're going to listen to. But before I do that, if this spoke to you, if this inspired you, I want to invite you to come fuck with me, come rock with me tomorrow night from 8 to 9 p.m. at this event I call The Listening Party, where I premiere new music. I talk about my writing, production, and recording process, and I play the song. Um, you hear them in the background? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are through the hallways. But the listening party is super dope. And let me see. The only way that you get to the listening party is by copping one of these, which we call the print. I'm going to show you, I think I have all 5 colors on me. So the print comes in, let me see. I'm getting used to this new camera. The print comes in royal blue, true purple. Isn't she pretty? Oh, periwinkle, which is my favorite one. Probably that's why there's 2 of them. Periwinkle. Uh, hot pink. And let me see. Hot pink and ultra purple. And on the back, can't show you for too long because you're gonna get that QR code. But on the back is a code to download my newest song, the Love Me All Acoustic. It's a super dope hip hop soul song. It's my first acoustic song where it's just singing. Um, I dropped a song back in, I don't even know what year it was, like '07, '06, called Any Day Now. And that's probably one of the only other songs where I'm not rapping on. But there is some type of like, it's not, I wouldn't quite call it rapping, but there's a breakdown that has like, you'll know what time it is, but it's a really gorgeous song, just vocals and guitar. Um, and if you're interested in this, drop in the comments below this. You can just drop the word print, PRINT, and I'll respond with a link where you can collect this print. And when you buy it, you not only have me ship it to you, and you get this 12 by 12, as you can see, this gorgeous professional print. The visual was created by multi media visual artist China Brown, another sister. And then, of course, you get the download. There's only 500 of them and they're going hella fast. I sent out the first shipment last week to all across the country. I've been really enjoying getting the pictures and the selfies. So y'all keep them coming in so I can share them with people. And then, of course, the song, the Love Me All Acoustic, comes with it. And it's not on the streaming platforms. It will never be. And it's also not going to be on my next studio album. So it's an incredible, for those of you who like love like real quality, beautiful and independent music, and also just like love to invest in Black artists and Black women owned businesses, Black women entrepreneurs, women in hip hop heads, Black hip hop entrepreneur. I mean, there's so many ways to cut the cake, but all of them point to this is a valuable investment. So make sure you drop the word PRINT in the comments if you want me to send one of these to you. Ship one. And then the other way to get them is if you come to my live shows. I had a live listening party in Brooklyn on the 26th of September. And so folks got to pick them up there and I signed them. If you come and pick them up in person with me, I sign them. But yeah, and the next listening party in person, I'm gonna announce it on next week's Women in Hip Hop Wednesday. So you can, if you're in the tri-state area or you'll be in New York visiting, you can come through and rock with me, whether it's 10 of us or 1,000 or 100 or five of us. It's always a beautiful and quality time. And for me, quality over quantity is my mantra these days. So definitely, I invite you to invest in us, invest in me, invest in this. Um, and what else do I want to say? Now I'm gonna play you. Whew, been sitting for a long time, y'all. My booty getting a little numb. Okay, so let me play you this last piece. So this is the New Music Seminar MC battle for World Supremacy. Roxanne Shanté versus Busy Bee, and I'm in love with this recording. This is the other thing that Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays allows me to do, which is like got my hydraulics. I don't know if y'all know, but I used to live in Pasadena and go to school on Slauson, um, over there in LA. So in the late 90s, so I did get to see those hydraulics, but another story, another day. I've been loving to get to just research and go through the archives and discover all these things that I never heard or saw before. So I want to share this with you. Can you hear it?
Okay, B. Busy B, you're gonna start first. Okay. Do we need any warm up? No, you're in the finals. No warm ups. Is that a good beat for you? Okay. Shantae, you ready? Hit it. One, two, one, two, three. Hit it. Hey, 2 weeks ago at the place to be, and they were standing in line to see who a busy bee, with the curve in my 98, and then I rushed inside so I won't be late. Hey, the party is packed where you couldn't even move. Now everybody's rocking to the busy bee's groove. 1, 2, 3, hit it. Once upon a time in a place called the Ville, when I was walking through the projects, trying to chill. All of a sudden, this guy came up to me. He said, "You're fly, Friday high." Took that guys, don't know why. And maybe a guy who can't pass your by. I looked at him and I said, "No lie." 1, 2, 3, hit it. I was raised in the sun, I'm strong as an ox. I'm kind of slim, but I'm fine as a fox. And right about this time, I just want y'all to know I choose the life that they call a disco. So get on your feet and let your fingers pop, because the busy bee is here and I'm ready to rock. And before I go and before I quit, I'm going to give you some more busy bee. Hit it.
He said, as far as I could tell y'all, he said, before I go and before I quit, I'm gonna give you some more of this busy bee. So that's interesting. I just want to say this. Shout out to my brother Curtis Blow. The D word is definitely cursing. And I'm curious if this was part of what set Shantae off, not scapegoating Busy Bee, but just out of curiosity. Okay. Do you feel me? Let me stop.
1, 2, 3, hit it.
Devastating MC, and that's a fact. Never known to rock, always gonna do that. Yes, known to rap and be the top of my class. Just to bust all the other MCs on their ass. My rhymes are deaf, could never be weak. Every word I say is definitely unique. Don't you know that I can rap and do it very well? And I tell you to go to hell.
And I am a man with a master plan. I make him turn tricks with the wave of my hand. I am the man that the rock on the phone, and I'm drugging and ripping on the microphone. Tragedy to the rhythm, cause the rhythm is sweet, and everybody loves who busy. 4, 1, 2, 3, hit it.
Out here, we told ourselves a pack. He said, don't get up there and talk like that. See, now he dissed me. He made me shame and talking about busy B is his name. What is a B? It can't go with me. I stomped that shit in a 1, 2, 3.
4, 1, 2, 3. Well, if you want to just battle, y'all can listen to me. You can take a couple lessons from who? A busy bee. A busy bee is another brother that rocks the best. Act the north, the south, the east, and west. They say he runs around all Adidas down with medallions around his neck. He got diamond rings and all type things to keep the girls in check.
Pause. So this is deep, right? Because we don't hear this in Curtis's story. Shanté says in her freestyle, in her battle rap, yeah, backstage, we agreed that I wouldn't talk like that, but now you fucking diss me? Oh no, now I have to go off, right? And he is flinging sexism when he said, talking about this busy bee D, right? We know that that was pointed towards women. And then at the end of his next verse right here, he's talking about keep the girls in check, right? So she's getting heated, but it's not out of nowhere.
Your rhyme was cute. I think that it was funny, but we all know who makes the most money. We all know who is getting paid. Who some yes, who ain't got the mix. We all know it. Yes, think it's cute, but busy bee. How many times you gonna wear the suit?
1, 2, 3. A busy bee is my name, yo, and that's the fact, and you can't beat that with a stick or bat. I'm gonna give you a little soap and a towel in the cup, cause the bum MCs are all washed up. Put the and I know he's right.
Okay, that was cute. I think that's
What
like
happened?
what happened. You's a nappy head nigga, you ain't getting bigger. If I had a gun, you know that I would pull the trigger. You just can't hang, and that is right. And you say you wanna battle me on the mic. Busy bee, what? I think you's a slut. I wanna tell you something if you was in a right now. Busy bee, huh? Tell you the approach. Let me tell you something, you look like a roach.
Please get out my face with the master voice. That ain't what the people hear with the choice. Rather than the music is sweet. They want to hear who is gonna rock like me. You some MC that came from way back. Never had an MC that had it like that. You always on down. You want to be like me. 1 and 2, man, busy bee.
Let me tell you, you know you're through. What you say? I'm younger than you. I can't be an MC that's way from the back. You need to do it over because you know you're whack.
That's right.
Get it together. The hat you wearing, the shit ain't even leather. You want to play games and you want to get loose. Well,
1, 2, 3. That's it. 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. All right, come on out, come on out, come on out, come on out. Come on out. Let's hear it for both of them. Chief Rocker Busy Bee, Queen of Roxanne Shanté.
Yo.
Okay. First of all, we like to once again thank them. Most people in the audience do not know how difficult it is to come up here unrehearsed and keep the beat. So once again, give them a nice round of applause. They did a fantastic job. And now, I get a little volume on the mic. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go with the Chief Araka Busy Bee. Judges, hold your cards up. Wizkid, Bambata, Curtis, Red, 9, 18, 27, 37 points for the Chief Rocker. Hold the numbers up again, please. Hold them up again. Okay, 9, 18, 27, 37, 47 points for the Chief Rocker. All right. Okay. DJ Red Alert. We got an 8. Curtis Blue. We got a 4. Bambata, we got a 10. WizKid, we got a 10. Buff and the Fat Boys, we got a 10. 10, 20, 30. Hold your cards up, fellas. Hold your cards up. 10, 20, 30, 38, 42. The winner, Chief Rocker, Busy Bee.
So, what would have happened had Curtis Blow given Roxanne Shanté her flowers that night at the New Music Seminar MC Battle for World Supremacy? Would women still be fighting to be considered equal instead of the lesser sex? Um, would women still would would MC still say she was good for a female MC or she was good for a girl? Um, what does this reveal to you if you've heard this before, or you were there at the battle? What does this reveal to you? I think one of the most telling moments for me was where Curtis Blow says, before this moment in battles, two MCs were battling for supremacy of their rhymes. They weren't coming at each other. There's a whole group of folks who are simply pure battle rappers, right? I'm the type of MC. Oh, make me cry the way y'all be talking to each other. I don't want to battle nobody. In addition to, you have to really like be good under pressure and trust yourself, or at least have some type of a relationship with just jumping out there. Um, but that created a whole part of the culture that now is just seen as a staple. What did him giving her a 4, which was not an accurate score for what she did, um, did it really stop that aspect of hip hop from developing? And was it correct for him to give Busy Bee what he gave Busy Bee? What are your thoughts after hearing that? Um, I once um was watching different, interviews of Roxanne Shante. She's so interesting to me. And she was talking about a situation where they were wrapping up after a show, and she was, I believe, with some of her brothers from the Juice Crew. And back in the day, apparently, like, you would get paid with like cash, s- you know, dollar stacks in a briefcase. And they were like, we don't know where your briefcase is, but they had theirs. And she was like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Y'all have y'all briefcases. Why would they just lose mine? And Sparky D came out and was like, "What happened?" And saw Shantae going off, and she was like, "Man, y'all, that's not right. You shouldn't do her like that." And Shantae says Sparky D dapped her up and gave her some money and was like, "We should keep in touch." And she talks about that being a moment that really like was a paradigm shift for her, because she was like, "It's when I realized." I can't remember her exact words, but it was like when I realized women in hip hop, like the women, like we had um like experiences in common, and like the importance and power of our relationships. And she was like, even after all that, like us dissing each other and going back and forth. She still like had my back in that moment. So, you know, I'm just so curious, if y'all have experiences from that time, drop it in the comments. If you have questions or if you want to answer any of the questions that I posed. Um, this is Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays, the Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays podcast. Subscribe, like, comment, and share this with other people because I'm telling you, like, when folks find out that this is happening, they're always like, oh my God, this is so amazing. I'm like, yo, like, I did this because it should have already existed. Um, and this is not because I know the most about women in hip hop or our history. I am a woman in hip hop. I've been writing, singing, rapping, performing, and recording for well over 2 decades. But it's because, it hadn't it hasn't been done. And so here I am, so this is collaborative. If you are a woman in hip hop, reach out to me. You can pop your email in the comments below or email me at booking at cocopela.com if you'd like to be interviewed. Um, we've interviewed maybe 4 or 5 women in hip hop so far. So make sure you go back and check out the other episodes. And I'll see you again this time next week, we start at 5 p.m. Eastern and we rock until we can't rock no more. All right. Lay out. Peace.